What is going on, guys? It is your boy Cesar here with a video here today, bringing you guys a really cool logo tutorial here today. So basically, we're not really doing a logo design, however, we're basically taking your very possibly simple letters, right, and making them just like, it almost goes back how I did the how do you make a shadow in logo design. That's why I was gonna make more logo videos on the such of like how to color your logos, whether they give them more of a style rather than just always rely on the shape of the logo to be what it makes it unique. Even though that's still important, still I'm gonna show you guys something like this today. So this is on this left hand side. Just all this really is, we're gonna call it like a gradient bezel something, right? This is more like a fractal kind of version of it, where you have more like sort of like specks, like, you know, crystals, sort of like caramel, I almost said caramelized, crystallized kind of effect. And this is more of like a geometry, sort of like very like aesthetic pleasing when it comes to like point to point, middle ratios, all that cool stuff. This stuff is actually not hard whatsoever. It shouldn't take you long at all. However, I'm talking about in the sense when you actually do illustrate it and whatnot. So we're gonna take you quite a bit to get the perfect colors that you probably want and get a good gradient, all that good stuff. So keep in mind that's gonna be a thing. But for the first one here, I'm just going to show you guys really quickly the fractal, right? So this is just something that you would do. I personally actually, this is actually a letter from a logo that I had to do, KJH. I did a little bit on stream as well, but anyway, it's just one of those things. I just took this letter just to show you guys what I meant. So yeah, let me just show you guys really quick. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to combine it all together. Unfortunately, oh, that's unfortunate. Not entirely sure why it's saying it's unconnected. But let's just pretend for a second that it was, and when we combined the shape, it was all one color. Oh, that's why it has like one of those little micro tears. Yikes. Okay, anyway, so here's an example of this one, and this is just a, let's just say this is your letter K. You were just telling yourself, I love the way this letter K looks, however, it kind of looks like it just needs a little something something. So what I would do is, this is a little more of a fractal kind of design, right? So as long as you have you can kind of have, what is it called, snap to point on. That way you can just always snap here, snap here, snap here, and go here. Now I already have the gradient I used down here. If I just press I can just click on that gradient. So that's a nice little gradient here. As you can see, that's one piece of it. Now, as long as you actually have the shape combined together, as if I did this really quick, let me show you guys really quick, right? If I did this, I just did that, and I didn't combine the shape together. Oops, I didn't go to the point. I didn't combine the shape together. If I were to try to go ahead and reopen it, it would actually continue with that point that I just clicked on, right? So make sure you guys always close the shape, that way you never have trouble. So if I just click here, here, down here, and up here to close that shape, now if I clicked over here again, it won't give me any trouble at all, and it won't like kind of like construct that one shape that we just had before, right? So this is another gradient here. So I know there's a lot of you guys who wonder, like, how do you make your gradients? Maybe if you didn't know this, I actually didn't know this trick honestly either. However, if you guys were to, like, you know, move this around, right, you probably like, this is probably how you would usually want to like move your gradient and whatnot around. However, if you were to use your gradient tool, which is if you press G on your keyboard, right, that's how I used to do it all the time. It's just like, I can't really get what I want. There's too much of one color, too much of the other color. However, what I never had done was if I click on the shape that I wanted to go ahead and use the gradient and mess around with it, if I just press G, and put this back in the middle just in case. Don't know if it'll do anything, but we'll press G, right? Now, this is going to give us a gradient tool, so if I were to go ahead and sort of like, you know, as you can kind of see, it'll give me more of a, it's kind of hard, a little bit hard to see when it comes to these colors. Here, let me make this a little bit darker so you guys can see a little bit better. Right, I'll make this one a little bit darker as well. Just so you guys can see, right? A little more what's going on. Right, if I were to go ahead and just kind of like said I want more of like this way. So we're gonna think about it like this, right? If you're gonna use your gradient tool, wherever you click on originally and wherever you drag, whatever color right here is to the left is gonna be the first color that's gonna be showing up. So the pink should be on this side right here, while the purple should be on this side if I click and drag just like so, right? So if you wanted the pink to start elsewhere, you click, you drag, the pink should be top right now, and the purple should be bottom left. So there's always one of those things that you can always, you know, kind of know that you can definitely get the opposite as long as you were to, you know, if you were to go up here, let's say you wanted the pink up here, right? I'll make the pink go up here, all right? And I'll make the purple go the opposite way. So let's start the pink this way, right? And then you can always make sure you kind of have that vibe, right? However, that might be a little bit too sharp for you guys. If you guys wanted something more of like, I guess like tasteful and like more blended, right? You wanted to just like them to blend together more, I would just go longer. Right, if you go a little bit longer, you get like a nicer sort of, you get like the end ratio before the colors transition. You get more of that kind of like less aggressive color change, more to like a nicer, how would you say, like more of like a very sophisticated way, right? So I'm just gonna go over here again. I'm not gonna finish the entire logo. You guys already seen how I would pretty much do it. But if I just do this one right here, right? I take my gradient, I go, hey, there's a lot of pink on this side right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make sure my purple is on that side. So I'm gonna take my pink, which is over here, right? Our first, you know, like little thing here. Use a gradient tool, and oops, make sure I click on that, right? Use a gradient tool, make sure my purple is landed over there. Now I want it to be more of like a little seamless, right? So you get something like that, right? It looks pretty good. And I would go back into here again, and just simply, I have the snap to point, right? So whenever I hover over my point, I can make sure always that I'm at that point where I can just, you know, say, okay, that's at the point, we're good to go. I'll start the point again with the pen tool. It'll always be at the point as long as you have snap to point on. And of course, you're like hovering semi-close to the point itself. So right here, one of these things right here, there's a lot of purple in this area, so I'm gonna take the pink. Make sure I take the pink, well, click over here, click the G tool, which is the gradient tool, and make sure that pink is maybe more on that side, and then you get something like that, right? So if you, as long as you keep building towards that, you'll get a really cool fractal look to it. I broke mine down a little bit more in a sense of like I had more of a, like I had a lot more little shards, right? But that's just all about like just what you kind of want to do. And also you don't have to choose these colors. You can really just realistically choose whatever colors you want. Let's just say if you wanted to choose, let's go with green, then you wanted to choose maybe blue, right? Let's just do it just for the hell of it, right? If I click on this shape here, if I press I can take that gradient, and then you can go again with the entire thing. So I can just go over here, just gonna press I on all these shapes, and wherever you find that it needs necessary to maybe change your color scheme around a little bit, you simply just take your G tool and mess around. I don't want too much green on that side. I want it like that, maybe. Pretty cool. So there's a lot you can do with like a fractal design. It just kind of looks really cool. I also keep messing with my hair because I know it's too long. But I'm gonna get it cut soon. All right, so let's go ahead and move around with the little geometrical shape, right? The geometrical shape, geometry shape. I don't know what I'm gonna call this one, but it's more or less sort of like a cleaner look to it and more of a certainty, right? You always kind of know like what kind of shapes are going on here. Now I just made a quick little A, and I'm gonna combine that together, and we're just gonna go ahead and just leave it as so. I'm gonna make this just gray because let's just make it gray. Boom, right? This is what it looked like originally. Now, one thing I would like to do when it comes to like these shapes, if you have like a nice cornered sort of like ratioed, maybe like an A, like an O or P or something like that, it might look that's very like kind of boxy. What I would do is I would always look for diagonals, right? So I'm gonna go for this diagonal here and say, hey, this is a pretty cool diagonal. Let's go ahead and put that one in here. So once you make that first shape, initial shape, you can press I. Well, if you have already a gradient available to you. If not, you have to create your own gradient, of course, right? But I already have this gradient here, so I'm gonna throw that right there, right? That's one little part there. I know for sure that I did this here, right? So I'm gonna combine that, and let's do it again for this side over here. And once again, if you guys do not know what I'm doing, you see how it's like anchor, you see that word anchor? That means I'm snapping to that anchor point. So if you guys don't have that available, make sure you go to view, snap to point, or press Alt plus Control plus your little like parentheses button, right? So this is all good to go. This is actually pretty already like how I kind of want it, right? You want the orange on one side and the gradient other opposite color, which happens to be a pink on that side. If I want it more smoother, like I said, I don't know which side is on which. Okay, so the orange is on the left side, so once I click, that's the orange side. So I want to say, let's go with like something like that maybe, right? If you want it to be more smoother, right? You can have it be a little more smoother, which is pretty nice. And let's go ahead and make another cut here. I'm gonna make one big cut here, right? So I'm gonna do that diagonal line here, this diagonal line here, combine those. Let's do it again over here on the right hand side. Boom, boom, and boom. And there you kind of got that kind of going on, right? Now this might be enough for you. Honestly, you see how that's really too close together for me. I'm gonna say let's put the orange on that side. So let's go ahead and kind of fix that around a little bit. Now let's also say, if you guys are wondering like, hey, what if I click on both of them and I choose like I want to use this gradient, right? But you can see how it's kind of like weird. Maybe if you want them in the same direction, you can go ahead and just click on both the shapes by clicking on one shape and then holding Shift, right? And then click on the other shape, and you can just press G. And then you can have those shapes be a part of the same shape essentially when you're applying the gradient. So it's gonna be really cool to kind of like know that, whether if you want to like make like a cool little transition or whatnot, right? But there's also one thing that I've seen people do as well is if you were to go ahead and let's just make sure, by the way, you have your smart guides open. If you don't have these open, you kind of see how like, let's see, you kind of see like how it's like, you know, allowing me to make sure I'm on the path here. If I go over here, it'll allow me to make sure I'm on the path over here again. It'll allow me to make sure like everything, right? If I press it Control U again, you'll see there's no like indication that I'm snapping to anything at all or any lines, any shapes and whatnot. So if I press Control U, you'll see right? You see how it says interact, or excuse me, intersect, which means it's in the middle. If I click over there, if I want to put it in the middle, you can make it stop in the middle and whatnot. But I definitely would advise you guys to make sure you guys have your smart guides on when you're doing this part, because we can do with this one here is, let's just say this shape here, you want it to have, let's say first of all that this shape here had the orange on the bottom. Okay, now let's take this one and have the orange on the top, so that way the purple is on that side, and then you get some like a really cool little bezel, right? It almost reminds you guys about the Photoshop bezel, when if you were to go to Photoshop, right? And if you were to go to bezel and emboss, you would see like there's a lot of settings that kind of apply to this kind of like theme right here. It's kind of what you're doing inside Illustrator right now, right? If I want to do it one more time for myself, click at the point. Of course, I have a snap to anchor on again, so I can click at this point now as well to make sure I kind of snap that perfect spot. I can hold shift, by the way. You can see how it's like very loose when I don't know exactly where the middle is. If I hold shift, it'll make sure it'll guide me right there in the middle. Click on this point again, click on this point, and then we'll just do this part. We'll make this orange on the left side. They'll make the orange come out on the other side right here. That way we gotta have that right there again. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I can like really teach on this point. This is all like things that you can do to like just make your, or elevate your letter concepts and whatnot a little bit further. It's really good to show that you have a little bit of gradient control. Maybe just like, for now, if you guys don't really know how to mess with it too much, I would really advise you guys maybe make your own gradients or just like kind of figuring things out. Would be pretty cool. I'm gonna do it right here as well, actually. Sorry. Just had to. Just do it on one side just to see how that would look, right? But yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool things you can do with it. If you even wanted to, you can combine the two styles together, like fractal, and we'll just call this like geometry, and kind of combine them together, make some like really cool style to it. But realistically, it's really cool if you find like a nice color scheme as well. You can just get some really nice, different, refreshing little logo designs that are just regular, you know, that are like your regular black constants and whatnot. Just kind of elevate a little bit and really work on color branding, which also really matters when it comes to logo designs, right? So hopefully guys, you guys enjoyed today's video here today, where I think we're just going to title it like gaming logo designs, right? Or gaming logo design, or gaming logo, great gaming gradients. I don't really know. However, hope you guys enjoyed today's video here today. Hopefully it was like to the point and all that cool stuff, and hopefully you can deal with me messing with my hair quite a lot, because I can just tell I need to cut it, but it just needs to be a little bit longer, so that when I like shave it, just trust, okay? I promise. Anyway, talk to you guys later. That's HQ out. Don't forget to keep smiling, stay positive, and stay freaking productive, guys.